Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Let's Chat. Today I've got Dylan Jacobsen on this YouTube. Dylan, how's it going?
Yeah, lekker, thanks. How are you, Quinton?
All good, man. So, Dylan, let me just quickly do a brief intro. Dylan is a specialist personal trainer, online trainer, sports-specific conditioning coach, and nutritionist. So when we first spoke, Dylan, you've got quite a good few stories to tell on your journey that you've traveled and how you've had to use mindset and thinking and that to get you through some serious life punches, I would say, things that life threw at you. But before we get into that, do you want to maybe just share with us what is it exactly that you specialize in and how do you assist your clients?
So, from a personal training perspective, obviously I help with body transformations. With that, there obviously comes a mindset adjustment and shift. It's an adjustment to their lifestyle. So they need to kind of detach from their current lifestyle and embrace the new lifestyle to achieve their generally transformation goals. From a sports-specific conditioning perspective, study sports science, help athletes achieve their goals, whether it's sitting down with them, talking or strategizing about racing or performance or periodization and training plans. And obviously the conditioning would then happen in a gym. I don't coach any sport per se, the actual discipline itself anymore. I used to coach swimming and motocross. I'm now more the high performance conditioning side of it, based in a gym. And then obviously nutrition. It's all based similar sort of principles, getting people to detach from their current lifestyle, embracing the new lifestyle. And pretty much I believe in leading from the front, as opposed to sending the guys in blind. So I'll never make someone do something that I can't. So if they do have a question, and I encourage questions, I'm able to relate to them.
Okay, awesome. So you've got the nickname, and I'm going to pronounce this. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but you've got the nickname Nqobile. Do you want to maybe start and tell us what that's all about?
So, as you mentioned, I've had a few interesting turns in my life. Run out of talent a few times, and I race motorcycles. I'm a extreme personality. I can't do anything in half measures, and if you're going to do everything at 100% effort level, sometimes it has quite a big risk factor. So I race motocross. Like I said, I ran out of talent a few times and hit the floor and been in ICU a few times. And so a lot of my sort of African clients then started calling me Nqobile, which basically means courageous and victorious, because I shouldn't, in theory, still be here. We shouldn't be having this conversation.
Explain that to us, yeah?
So I have flatlined before. I flatlined for a while, needed full blood transfusion, had a splenectomy, damaged my kidneys, punctured lungs, broken my neck and back. I've been clinically paralyzed. So I've been through the wars, and so that's where the courageous and victorious sort of comes from. Very little special place of mine down in the Transkei. So the people that know me or know that about me and kind of just got the name. They said my name was Nqobile.
So I think just from what you mentioned now, you've earned the name when you say flatlined and stuff like that. Do you want to maybe just share with us, when you said that you flatlined before, what exactly happened? And I know when we spoke briefly before, explain to us how you had to recover from that mentally and stuff. Because obviously it starts in the mind first. If you can't get yourself head ready when you've gone through something serious, it's a challenge to learn to walk, for instance, again. Maybe tell us how what happened there with the flatlining and stuff, and how you recovered from that.
So the flatlining basically happened was I started riding motocross, and I got my bike in March and 2014, and I saw someone do something. One of the fast guys did something, and I'm like, hey, well, how did you do that? So he just said, you come around the corner. So basically it was a section. There was a ski slope. There was like a ski jump, and then there's a tabletop, and then there was another tabletop, and a single. So what the guys were doing was jumping from the ski jump out of the corner onto the first tabletop, and then doubling the next two tabletops and doubling out. So, I mean, this was cool. Just seeing 200 kilos flying past you in the air. I was like, no ways. I said, I have to do this. I said, how do you do that? So the guy says to me, he says, Dol, you rail the corner, third gear, you hit the ski jump, you land in the air, you clip it up into fourth, you land on the tabletop, you hold it wicked, and you jump, and you'll make the next two doubles. So I said, is that all? So he says,
is that all?
So he says, yeah. I said, no, you sure this will work? He says, 100%. So I said, sick. So I came around the corner, flat out, did it. First, got onto this. I'd only been riding for 6 months, Shit, I didn't even take in skill and bike control factor into this. I was just like, this is cool, I have to do it. So I'm like, okay, well, Kif, hit this thing. I get over onto the first tabletop. I'm now so excited. I clip fourth gear, hold it whacked, hit the jumper. This is amazing. And as I landed on a square edge. So it was a common place where a lot of guys were riding, and a lot of their real wheels. So they dug like a hole into the ground with a 90-degree square edge. And what happened was as I landed, my front wheel hit the corner of the square edge. My handlebars got ripped right out of my hands, and I got slammed into the launch of the next jump. I was then like lights out for a little bit. It wasn't such a big one. I've had worse concussions, but I was lights out for a little while. Then bike bent, arm bent. They take me back up to the pit. And
so was this during a training session, right? It wasn't racing.
No, it was a casual weekend. I mean, it was just a casual weekend. And I had a whole bowl of superhero for breakfast and decided to try it out. And so that then happened, and I was then sitting in the chair, and boom, just dropped and got raced off to the hospital and flatlined at the hospital. I ruptured my spleen. The actual rupture, I'd flattened it so big that the laceration was actually longer than the average person's spleen. And I ended up obviously just bleeding out internally. I needed 2.1 liters of blood. Obviously after I'd been sort of resuscitated. And then I remember the doctors coming in, walking, and said, listen, we need to take the spleen out. We need to do a repair. And like at that point, my biggest fear was to get a scar on my stomach. I mean, I was like, shit.
Oh, wow.
I don't want a scar on my stomach. So I'm like, leave it. I'll die. And my parents, geez, when you vain as a youngster, and you just, my parents basically said, like, listen, no, do the operation. So I've basically got one big zipper from my belly button all the way up to my sternum. I took the spleen out, repaired my kidneys. Obviously, there was a lot of other damage done as well, just in terms of breaking bones, concussion. But I mean, those are minor next to what, rupturing the spleen and bleeding out.
Yes.
And then, to be honest, I was honestly, when I started coming around in recovery and stuff like that, I was more upset that I now had a scar on my stomach. I was obviously grateful to be alive and everything, but I mean, for me, it was, that's what kind of irritated me more than anything. And and then from there, I remember I was still coaching swimming at the time with my mate Carl Macmillan. We had a club called Sand and Seal Swimming Club, and basically I sent a Kulu long message to all the little swimmers, and I basically said, like, listen, you need to, I don't like the saying you only live once, because I don't believe that. You live every day. You only die once. And so I sent them basically this whole long message telling them to, use the time in their swimming and invest in themselves properly, and don't wait until tomorrow. Don't put anything on hold. Now is a good time. The present is a good time to do anything, whether it's start something new or give 100% effort in something. Your future self will thank you for it. So while, like I say, I was only out of the theater for a couple of hours, and I sent this whole long message, and there's lots of snot and thrown on these kids, and obviously they got a fright because they didn't know. And you're close. You spend more time with these kids than their parents do. They're at morning swimming for 2 hours a day. They're in the afternoon swimming for 3 hours a day. They're at school for 7 to 8 hours. They still got homework. They can't spend time with their parents for 5 hours. So you spend a lot of time with these kids, and it's to get stronger. Like I said, I like leading from the front and not being negative about things. And I couldn't change the fact that what had happened. I just knew I wanted to move forward in life without any sort of limitations.
Yes.
And just kind of put my head down and grinded it, and sort of I've come back from that and had big crashes since then as well. And I view it quite simply. I still ride dirt bikes. I'm not going to stop. I actually recently just started enduro, and I'm trying to move in towards the downhill mountain biking. I got a bicycle in September, which is that's too lekker. And I've already broken my collarbone and ribs on that
also
too.
Dangerous, but all good.
Well, listen, my view is quite simple. You could be up on the roof painting the roof and misplace your foot. You're going to fall and hit the floor. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? You're going to stop painting the roof or have an accident in your car. You're never going to drive your car again. Yeah. It's you just got to carry on. Sometimes you just got to boil it down to bad luck, or you weren't supposed to be doing something at a particular time and you're not getting another chance to kind of perfect that.
So I actually come from a motocross background. We did a lot of jet ski racing, and go-karting and stuff like that. So unfortunately with those kind of sports, I suppose with most sports, is you have to push the boundaries. And I think that's what you were probably doing that day. However, like you said, what you're saying, you ran out of talent. It's such an awesome one. You've actually got me saying that now, but that's a good way of explaining it. It's just you ran out of talent. It happens. But I think from a mindset perspective, it's with that personality. If you want to get somewhere, you have to push those boundaries. Everybody that's really successful, the Elon Musks, all these dudes, they push the boundaries of business or whatever it is that they do. Do you, when you're assisting your clients in that, do you have any exercises that you specifically, or do you just basically by words and when they're, for instance, training, or do you just coach them on the go type thing, or do you have any specific things that you do or to help them mentally and stuff?
So just in general, I try to keep the mindset quite positive. I've got obviously my whole WhatsApp contact list that I send like Monday motivations and just
awesome.
Perspective on things. And, you can always, so sometimes they're my own quotes. Sometimes I share other people's quotes.
Okay.
With coaching my clients, definitely positive affirmation, verbally.
Okay.
I was actually talking to one of my clients this morning, Daisy, shame. And I was saying to her, I was speaking to her saying that I have, this kind of interview today. And,
yes,
I was saying to her, that obviously I'm quite nervous in front of the camera, worried about my brain turning to mush. But I was saying to her, it's quite interesting, you build this trust with these people. It's a relationship. It's not called transaction training. It's called personal training. you build these relationships and you build this level of trust. You know, if I went to Daisy and I said, Daisy, there's 100 kilos on the floor, go pick it up. She'll go pick it up, because over a particular length of time or duration and time that she knows that I wouldn't go tell her to try pick up a ton. You know what I mean? It's not unrealistic. And over time, I have shown her that my sort of projections of what I think she's capable of and what she thinks she's capable of, I'm often more right than what she is. So she's
awesome.
learning to trust me and my judgment, and in turn learning to trust her own ability.
Yes.
So, you know, we were talking about that, and she actually ended up giving me quite a good pep talk about the video. Like I said, normally I cringe in front of the camera.
So, well, it doesn't show, I must be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, so she ended up actually, funny enough, you know, I've been training Daisy for 3 years, and she actually ended up sort of positively affirming my sort of abilities and saying, you know, she loves the way I speak to people, and she likes,
Yes.
you know, it's how positive I am. You know, I don't really dwell in the negative. You know, I just I think everything. I mean, sure, but you can, you know, any experience, as long as there's a lesson learned out of it, I mean, that in itself is positive. You know, it's
Yes.
so I'm not telling you if you flap your hands fast enough you'll fly, but I mean, you know,
Yes.
it has to be realistic, but you know, and not opposed to trying, or not I'm never opposed to sort of trying anything. Sorry, you asked something
No,
else.
so I just want to quickly stop you there. Also, you mentioned something really, really important now, and I hope everybody watching this actually gets it. But I'm going to actually highlight it, of what you mentioned there. It's called, like, what we refer to as borrowed faith. So
Yeah.
you may not have faith in yourself right now that you can do this. Borrow my faith and trust that I know that you can do it. So you actually,
Yeah.
it's exactly what you're doing there. And that's
Yeah.
I actually got goosebumps here. I don't know if you can see, but I've got goosebumps because that is such a
Yeah.
powerful technique. But again, you have to build a rapport with the person. You have to build trust with that person. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
That there, I don't know if you realize it, but that is an extremely powerful mindset technique that you actually mentioning there. So that's freaking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And it's quite, you know, you always, you know, the age old thing, the more you give, the more you receive. So, you know, she's now given back to you and pep
Yes.
talk to
Yeah.
you, which is quite, quite
Yeah.
cool, actually.
Yeah. It's very lekker.
Yeah. All right. So I'm quite big on routines and stuff like that. You obviously, with the personal training, I know you're typically busy in the morning and evenings to fit into clients' calendars and stuff like that. But what's Dylan's sort of daily or morning routine? Because I'm quite big on morning routines because it sets the tone for the rest of the day. And you find high performers typically have a very early morning routine or something like that. What is your typical routine?
So I wake up at 3:15.
Okay, that's not in the
Make my
afternoon. That's in the that's
yeah. Yeah. So I wake up at 3:15.
okay.
Have a cup of coffee to try look for my personality at the bottom of the cup. Uh, and yeah, so I just have a cup of coffee, pack my lunch or the breakfast for the day up to about sort of 10-11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
I pack my food. I might ruffle the dogs a little bit, play with them for a little bit.
Okay.
You know, I find them very positive. You know, it's amazing. You know, your dog, man, he can blink and just nod off, wake up and wagging his tail like he hasn't seen you in a year. You know, so
Yes.
I really like that. I get a lot of I get very positive energy from my dogs. I love my
Okay.
dogs. So I mean, it's a nice way to wake up because you always get greeted like, you know, very
Like
very
you.
sort of enthusiastically and positively.
Yes.
Hop in the shower, and then I like. So obviously, I mean, it's quite dark when I go to work still. Summers obviously, I mean, I catch the start of sunrise, but
Yes.
I enjoy listening to music.
Okay.
Music just sort of takes you places. You
Okay.
know, I play the music so loud. I mean, you know, you really do. You just wake up, depending on the sort of genre. I mean, the frequencies, I believe, the sound waves resonate against your body
100%.
and stimulate certain bodily responses, be it a hormonal response or, which can affect you,
Yes.
both negatively and positively. So, I like to go there while I just really focus on my breathing. Or I don't,
Okay.
I just breathe, focusing. And my favorite part is obviously driving to work, watching the sunrise. It's experiencing all the colors, knowing that it's beautiful. It's a new day. There's ample opportunities, and there's
Yes.
you know what I mean. I like the opportunity of a new day because it's not guaranteed. I mean, sherbet. I mean, I could fall off this chair, crack my head on the floor. You know what I mean. Tomorrow's
Yes.
not guaranteed. So the fact that
Yes.
I've woken up, these beautifully lit sky. I'm playing some killer tunes. I'm not sort of genre specific. I just one morning just boom, go into iTunes and
I was going to ask you, what do you typically enjoy, or is it a very broad, whatever's going, like, yeah.
Look, so I mean, I would say majority of the time I probably listen to trance,
Okay.
house,
I was
EDM.
gonna, yeah. So I listen to trance and those music as well, and trance is a very nice one for mentally. Gets you mentally in a zone, yeah.
You travel, you travel a bit.
Which is great, using the imagination part of your brain. So
Yes,
nothing wrong
yeah.
with that.
Yeah, so I like doing that, listening to like a bit of trance or something as I'm traveling into the sunrise. There's something very
Awesome, man.
therapeutic about it. I feel like it's good to reset. It's good to see all the colors. I feel like it's quite positive, and generally speaking, I think the day is then a better day.
Yeah. So I follow Robin Sharma quite a bit, and Robin Sharma wrote the book The 5 a.m. Club. So very, very, all of his stuff is very focused on the morning routine, focused on the magic, those first few hours, like you're saying now, driving, sun coming up, music, everybody's got their own little thing. But that time of the morning is you've just had good rest, you are alert, your brains, you haven't got your whole head full of the whole day's stuff. So there's clarity, I think, for a lack of a better word, is what you're mentioning as well. So he also talks about that morning routine and that morning where it's that magical few hours and stuff like that. So it's interesting that you mentioned that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you also, you raced professionally motocross and obviously did swimming and stuff professionally and that. How do you, I don't know if you do anything competitively at the moment, but if you've got a big challenge or whatever it is, do you have a way of preparing yourself mentally? Do you have any setting or that you do or that you help clients, for instance, if they're going to go into a big motocross race, that you get them psychologically prepared for it, not just physically?
So I mean, I still race myself. I'm actually doing a race on Saturday.
Okay.
First one is it's called a farm jam. I think it's quite a fun, friendly kind of thing, but never done one, so that's why I'm doing it.
Okay, cool.
But so basically, on a race day, there's nothing more you can do. On a day where you need to perform, there's nothing more you can do.
Okay.
I try and encourage people, and I always tell them to switch off and let the hard work pay off. There's nothing more you can do. You can't train anymore. You can't rest anymore. You can't do anything but be in the moment and let all your time, effort, and sort of past I call them investments in yourself, pay off. So I try let guys or affirm how their training has benefited them. They have made certain progressions. I try get their mind to switch off, because what a lot of people do is, I've found, they go to a race and they want a pre-race strategy and they end up psyching themselves out of their race. They end up being so congested in the head that the physical performance then suffers for it because they're distracted.
Yes.
Some of the best races in your life, whether, I mean, like I say, when I was swimming or running or motocross, it didn't matter. I can't recall what was going through my head in those races. I just remember it was lekker, it was fun. I was battling out on the track. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I can still go back sort of 12, 15 years into my swimming days where, like, I can actually remember the entire feeling. I can bring back the entire feeling, exactly how the race felt, but I can't think what go into my head. I can remember what I felt, but I
Yes.
can't remember what went through my head. And that's what I try and encourage people. I try and encourage them not to distract themselves. There are very few
Okay.
people, I believe, that can plan a race and execute it accordingly, because the mind-body connection is very, very important. And I don't feel like a lot of people have mastered that. A lot of people don't know what they're capable of, so they'll end up overly, or they'll say, they look at a psych sheet and they'll say, for argument's sake, I don't know, I did 30 seconds for 50-meter breaststroke. And now in training, they've done 29. They've got this. Get in the race, dive in. They're overly confident. They've now come almost complacent because they think that it's guaranteed. And then
Yes.
buzzer goes off and boom, touch the wall. They've done 31 1 second, and then they derail because nothing went to plan. And I try to teach people to not overthink anything. When training is the time for thinking. When you have to execute it in a race, let all of that pay off. That is no longer the time for thinking. Let the performance side be physical. Let that take over, and then whatever happens from there, we'll analyze and move forward before you go and change and adjust what needs to be adjusted, leading up to the next race. But no, I don't see a point in trying to predict
do anything at
almost.
that stage.
Yeah, at that stage is too late. At that stage, you need to have confidence that your training is going to pay off. Have acceptance, and acceptance, I think, is a big thing. Accept that you cannot do any more to change the outcome of this race. Except go out and enjoy it.
Yes. So I think what you're saying there also is very important. So what you're probably saying is, or from what I'm taking from it is that on the race day, just be in the moment. Don't think of this. Because then there's obviously too much. There's noise, and noise then causes confusion. Confusion ends up you not making a jump on whatever it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, you lose a spleen, pop a lung.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. We don't want that. The less distractions, the better.
Yeah, and that's so true. Quite often is just being at that point. It's a very a gem that you've left there as well. Of at that point, you've got to have the faith that all the training that you've done, everything that you've done up until that point, you've done the max, and you can't do any more than that. And now just be in the moment, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're coming to the end in that. I wanted to ask you also, you've given us so many gems already on things that you've just explained. Can you maybe give us one or two tips for somebody that's maybe going through a major challenge like you went through when you ended up in hospital and that? Have you got maybe one or two tips that you can give somebody from a mental perspective besides what you've already given?
So the way I view things is you don't have to accept anyone's perspective on something. For example, when I broke my neck and back in 2010, I was told that I was never going to walk again. Yes. Since then, I've done some strongman events. I've competed in national level motocross. I've done some enduros. I've even done some freestyle motocross. I've recently just started downhill mountain biking. I'm an avid gymmer. I love gym. I haven't competed in powerlifting and stuff, but I mean, I've done sessions with powerlifters, with CrossFitters. I love the beauty and movement.
Okay.
So I've conditioned myself basically into a state of having zero or few to no physical limitations. I don't ever want to, if someone says, "Hey, Dol, let's go bungee jump," I don't want to say, my back, my neck, you know what I mean? Yes. I want to say, cool, I'm in. Okay. you want to go do anything. You want to go rock climbing, lacquer. You want to play table tennis, that's fine. If you want to play chess, that's cool. If you want to go paint a picture, that's cool. Let's go. I like that. Like I say, I like having few to no limitations. So what I'm saying is I did not accept what I was told, and I just apply that in many aspects of my life. Okay. A lot of recommendations are based on normative or data captured, and they give you a general sort of idea, and at the end of the day, a lot of it has sort of legal repercussions. They can't sit there and say, I mean, I broke my collarbone the other day.
Yeah.
Ran on talent again. And yeah, so I mean, I broke it the other day, and I went to the first hospital, and I just didn't like the one doctor's approach. So I went for a second opinion.
Okay.
And anyway, 3 weeks later, I go back and I'm fully knitted. Doctor sitting there scratching his head, jaw on the floor. And he says he's never seen this before. He says, what is this? What's going on? And I said, well, no, I'm not superhuman, but I've been training for 22 years. For 22 years, I mean, I didn't even miss a session. I mean, you must remember I broke my collarbone. There's nothing wrong with my legs. I went to the gym. I trained my legs.
Yes.
I don't have to now sit and go feel sorry for myself and act disabled because I have one little bone over here broken. There's nothing wrong with my legs. There's nothing wrong with my arms. So I can still move them. So move. So he said he'd never seen that. And I said, what you don't understand is, although I haven't been gymming per se for 22 years, I've been formally training for 22 years. And what happens when you train? Your bones flex, your tendons and ligaments have to get thicker, stronger to provide support over the joints. You do micro tears in the muscle all the time. Your body is permanently in a state of recovery and repair.
Okay.
So when you go and break a bone, your body's only doing what you've conditioned it to do. It's like running a 5-kilometer race. You don't run for 10 years. You go do 5 kilometers. You're not going to walk for a week.
Yes.
You then run 5 kilometers this week. It hurt. You run 5 kilometers twice. Next week, it doesn't hurt as much. Then all of a sudden, you're running 5 kilometers 3 times a week. Eventually, you're running 10 kilometers every day, and it doesn't hurt. Your body will condition itself to what you expose it to. It's the most beautiful thing we have.
Yes.
And so what I was saying is it was priceless for me to watch the surgeon jaw hit the floor and sit and scratch his head. On paper, he could probably be in a lot of trouble by saying, listen, break your bone, 3 weeks, you're sharp. They found that the general pattern is 6 to 8 weeks, and then you can maybe start moving. I mean, sure, but I think I was back on the motorbike in 4 weeks. I was already bench pressing 100 kilos again on a broken collarbone and broken rib. I do, however, have a holistic approach to my recovery, my training, my sort of body maintenance.
Okay.
I do go to the chiropractor regularly. I just make sure everything's, it's quite simple. It's like not doing your alignment on your tire or your wheel alignment on your cars. You just chow your tires twice as fast. So just go to the chiropractor, make sure you're aligned, make sure everything is in alignment, and then your soft tissue will look after itself as well. But so the thing is, you don't have to accept normal information or what people generally find. I don't accept that. That might be your view, and that's cool. I respect your view for what it is, but that doesn't mean I have to implement it in my life. If I listened to the surgeon that said I was never going to walk again, I wouldn't have started motocross. I wouldn't have started strongman training. I wouldn't have started mountain biking. And I do that. I do that to get out into nature, to sort of experience the world and see things where helicopters can't land and it'll take you too long to go via foot. So
awesome.
The adrenaline rush is also cool. So the advice I would give is you do not have to accept anyone's information that you do not want to accept. I'm not saying, doctor says, you've just punctured your lungs and you go try run a marathon 2 days later. That's
don't be stupid about it.
Don't be stupid about it. But it doesn't mean that you've punctured your lungs and your lungs are not going to stay stuffed for the rest of your life. Yes. Condition, and they will get better. And that's what I've experienced.
Okay, no, cool. So, sorry, just can you hear me? Yeah, sorry. So, all right, cool. We've sort of come to the end in that. I wanted to ask you, Dylan, if people want to connect with you, want to get hold of you, or what's the best place to connect with you, or how to connect with you?
So My Facebook and Instagram have all my contact details, email addresses, link to WhatsApp. It's a beautiful thing with technology. It's all linked. I
Yes.
would say that I've even got a thing called Business Suite
Okay.
on my phone, which if you message me on Instagram or Facebook, I will
Okay,
get the
cool.
notification. I've got a pretty quick turnaround time in terms of responding.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I would say Instagram, Facebook, and if you want to go any further from there, all my details are on both those platforms as well.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is on this YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, at the bottom, all Dylan's links will be posted there. You can choose which way, either Facebook or Instagram. You can connect with Dylan over there. Dylan, thank you so much for giving us this time and the info you left and gave us some serious gems. I really appreciate it. And I know everybody else is going to get some value out of this 100%. Yeah, so that brings us to the end of this episode. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and get notified on future interviews. Yeah, thank you very much. Have an awesome day. Cheers.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers.